What if your birth certificate is the least important thing about you? Imagine this. Before your first breath, before your name or parents, something ancient and radiant chose this body. You're not just human. You're a soul wearing humanity like a borrowed coat. That nagging sense of not belonging, the quiet homesickness, might be echoes of where you really came from. Maybe those glimpses are invitations home. Listen, in this short teaching, we'll step into an ancient Gnostic worldview and translate it into language that works for you today. We'll explore what those thinkers said about where the soul comes from, why this world can feel like a school or sometimes a trap, and what people mean when they say, "I'm an old soul," or "I never felt fully human." This isn't about dogma, it's about stories that help you make sense of your own strange familiarity or alienation. You'll leave with 3 practical ideas you can test. First, a clear way to tell your true self apart from the human story you were given. Second, a compassionate explanation for why your soul might have chosen a life that feels heavy or unfair. And third, simple first steps toward remembering who you were before you arrived. Take what resonates, question everything, and listen with both your heart and your mind. I'll offer simple metaphors, short practices, and a few stories to make these ancient ideas practical. Nothing to force, only tools to try. If you've ever said, "I don't belong here," or felt tired of repeating patterns, this framework won't give easy answers, but it can offer context, tenderness, and a path back to a truer sense of who you are. Before we go deeper, an important reminder. The ideas we're exploring come from spiritual texts, mystical traditions, and inner experiences, not from laboratory science or any official religious authority. Think of this as a language for feelings and a symbolic map of the invisible, not a fixed rulebook. These images and metaphors can help name the quiet intuitions many of us already feel, but struggle to describe. This content is not meant to replace your personal faith, common sense, or professional mental health support. If a phrase or image here helps you feel a little less alone, calmer, or more connected to your inner light, hold on to it. If something feels off or unhelpful, you're free to set it aside without guilt. Ultimately, you are responsible for your choices, your path, and your well-being. I speak from curiosity, not authority. I sometimes share personal experiences to make ideas concrete, but your judgment matters most. If you ever feel distressed exploring these topics, pause and reach out to a professional or someone you trust. Self-care is essential. Remember, feeling skeptical is healthy. With that in mind, let's continue, keeping curiosity, compassion, and clear judgment together. When Gnostic writers said you were not born human, they weren't denying your body, your childhood, or your wounds. They were drawing a distinction. The body is shaped by genes, family, culture, and time. The soul, in their view, comes from a higher realm of light. Imagine your personality as a mask, useful, adaptive, made from experience. The soul wears that mask to learn and play roles in this world. The problem begins when you forget there's someone behind it. You start to identify with the mask, believing the habits, fears, and stories tied to it are the whole of you. That confusion traps you in patterns and smallness. The Gnostic point is quietly liberating. You can remember the deeper self that existed before your birth here, and let that memory reshape how you live. On a practical level, this matters. When stress, shame, or old scripts surface, try asking, is this the mask reacting or the soul remembering? That gentle question can slow you down, soften self-judgment, and open room for different choices. It won't erase pain, but it changes the story you tell yourself. Try it today. A small practice, a radical shift now. In many Gnostic accounts, there's a realm of pure light and harmony called the pleroma, the fullness. It's the home of the true source, beyond form, beyond gender, beyond any picture the mind can hold. From that living ocean of consciousness, sparks of awareness arise, One of those sparks is you. Your soul isn't a fragile ember. It's a focused slice of that vast light, trying on a human life. Picture sunlight through stained glass. The colors on the floor are beautiful, but they aren't the whole sun. Your personality is the colored pattern. Your soul is the beam. The source is the sun. That truth doesn't make you distant or less human. It simply remembers who you really are, even when life feels small. When you quiet the noise, through breath, prayer, or simple attention, you can sense that beam again. It doesn't erase difficulty but gives it context, reminding you this life is a passage. Amen. So why would a being of light ever choose to enter a world of pain, loss, and confusion? Gnostic and mystical teachings suggest a few compassionate answers. Maybe the soul descends to remember its own strength when everything around it feels dark. Maybe it comes to correct stubborn patterns, to learn how to love more fully, or simply to help lift the vibration of a heavy world. Picture a volunteer diver easing into deep, cold water. From the surface, it looks risky, uncomfortable, maybe even foolish. From the diver's view, it's a mission. Someone needs rescuing. Something needs fixing. Your birth wasn't the start of you. It was the moment your soul put on a diving suit. That suit is your body, your family story, the habits and wounds you call my life. Seen this way, suffering isn't random punishment but meaningful challenge. You can choose to see your struggles as training grounds, repair work, or service. Hold that image for a moment. What might your soul be trying to do down there? If you truly come from a radiant origin, why don't you remember it clearly? Many Gnostic ideas point to a veil, not punishment, but a kind of agreed amnesia. To fully play the human game, the soul consents to forget. Sorrow must cut. Joy must feel rare. Choice must carry weight. Without forgetfulness, the lessons would be hollow. Over time, that forgetting hardens into identity. I am this body, this job, this trauma, these labels. We live it, tell the story, and start to believe the story is all there is. And yet sometimes the veil thins. A song that makes you cry, a child's sudden laugh, a breathless moment of love, or the shock of loss. In those cracks, something whispers, "This is not all there is." Those whispers are clues, not coincidences. Treat them like breadcrumbs. Follow them gently, and you might find a familiar light peeking through the everyday, reminding you of a deeper origin waiting to be remembered. Do any of these sound familiar to you? Maybe you've always felt a little out of step. Not just quirky, but fundamentally different, even inside your own family. Conversations land strangely, traditions feel thin, and you carry a quiet distance you can't explain. Or there's that ache, a low, persistent sadness that doesn't trace back to any single event. It shows up like homesickness for somewhere you can't name, a longing for a place, a state, or a life you can't describe, only feel. You might have a strong intuition that's more than gut instinct, vivid dreams that stick with you for days, flashes of insight in the middle of ordinary moments, or an inner voice that seems older than you are. These moments feel like guidance rather than mere imagination. There's also the pull to seek truth, even when it complicates everything. You find yourself asking hard questions about meaning, reality, and purpose, and you keep digging even if it makes relationships or careers more difficult. Finally, some people report intense lessons early on, periods that force growth fast, illness, loss, sudden responsibility, or emotional upheaval that matures you quicker than your peers. None of this is a slam dunk proof. Psychological or medical factors can explain many of these experiences, and we should always consider those possibilities first. But within this spiritual map, these patterns can be read as hints, small markers that the part of you often labeled soul came with a specific purpose and refuses to completely settle for ordinary human sleep. If several of these ring true, it's worth paying attention. Think about a time you felt small because of a title, a dress size, or a string of likes on a post. According to Gnostic thought, the real danger isn't our body or the things we own. It's that slow erasure of memory, forgetting who we really are. When you start to believe you are only your job, your relationship status, your curated image, invisible strings attached to you. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of rejection, tug those strings and steer your choices for you. That's why we settle for the safe path, chasing status instead of meaning, comfort instead of truth, attention instead of love. You don't notice how lightweight your life becomes when purpose is replaced by performance. The world starts to look like a field of spiritual amnesia. Bright, alive people moving as if they were powerless victims of circumstance. We wear masks so well, we confuse the mask for the face underneath. Waking up in this language isn't about rejecting your body or hating the world. It's quieter and kinder, remembering that you are a visitor here, not a prisoner. You've carried an inner light through things that hurt you, older than any wound, bigger than any role. That memory changes how you live. It shifts motive from proving to remembering. So next time you catch yourself scrambling for approval, pause and ask, who am I beneath this role? That single question can loosen a string. It doesn't solve everything at once, but it opens the possibility that you are more than what you've been taught to fear. Start small. You don't need ceremonies or special gear to remember your origin. First, carve out tiny pockets of stillness every day. 1 minute waiting for a kettle. 2 minutes before sleep. In that quiet, stop the inner running commentary and gently ask, who am I behind all these stories? Don't hunt an answer. Let the questions soften your edges. Second, practice radical self-honesty. When anxiety, shame, or craving shows up, name it plainly and ask, if I were an eternal soul, would this still control me? That honest pause creates space. Sometimes the fear dissolves. Sometimes it points to work that needs gentle attention. Third, live your values through small acts. Speak the truth kindly. Return what you borrow. Give time without keeping score. Let compassion and truth be your daily North Star, even when no one sees. Over weeks, these tiny choices accumulate. Gradually, you stop feeling like life's victim and begin moving as a conscious soul using a human life. Be patient. Keep choosing. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, grounding breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your shoulders soften and the jaw unclench. Imagine yourself before this life began. See a small, bright point of light. That point is you, standing on the edge of a wide, luminous field. The field hums with gentle color and movement, like dawn settling over water. Beyond it you sense earth, vivid, messy, full of sound, feeling, and many unknown paths. Now, without trying to fix every detail, let the outline of your current life come into view. Notice the shapes that matter, family faces, the gifts you bring, the wounds you carry, the crossroads that keep appearing. Watch these things as if from a little distance. Your soul, the point of light, turns to that path with steady, curious attention. Ask inwardly, simply, why did I choose this? Don't strain for an answer. Keep breathing easily. Be gentle and curious, not demanding. Maybe a single word rises up. Love, healing, learning, service, courage. Maybe an image or a feeling appears. Maybe nothing does right now. And that's okay. If something does surface, let it expand just a little. Notice where it lives in your body. A warmth in the chest, a pull in the belly, a soft settling behind the eyes. If a memory or quiet insight comes, acknowledge it with a silent thanks and allow it to float by. If nothing arises, sit with that open space. Absence can be as meaningful as meaning. This exercise isn't about making a story. It's about softening your heart to the possibility that you chose this life with intention, not by accident. When you're ready, take another slow breath. Bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes carrying a small, steady sense of purpose. Imagine you arrived here as a soul choosing human form. How would that change the way you move through a day? You'd start treating your inner world with the same respect you give an important relationship. Ask it how it feels, listen, and act from that place. You'd take outer approval less seriously, saying no without guilt, and refusing spaces that dim your light. Difficult people would read as teachers more than curses, mirrors showing what needs attention, boundaries, or compassion. You would allow yourself to feel deeply without shame. Sensitivity would be a sign of aliveness, not weakness. Being a soul in a human world isn't about perfection or detachment. It's about carrying a quiet knowing beneath ordinary moments that you are more than any passing feeling. When you forget, every breath is an invitation to remember. Begin small. Pause before you answer. Notice one feeling. Give yourself 10 minutes of rest. These tiny returns add up. As we close, hold this simple sentence in your heart. You are older than your name. Long before anyone called you by anything, there was a presence that watched, felt, and chose. That presence is still here, looking out through your eyes, listening through your ears, learning through your joys and your mistakes. Whether you call it soul, spirit, divine spark, or simply awareness, it is the deepest truth of you. If this teaching resonates, treat it as an invitation, not a conclusion. Keep asking, keep listening, keep remembering. You were not born just to survive as a human body. You came to remember what you are, and to let that light quietly bless the world around you. If you like, pause for a moment. Place a hand on your chest, breathe slowly, and notice the steady presence beneath thought. It needs no proof, only your recognition. When you forget, return with gentle curiosity. Live so your small, steady light touches one life, then another. That's more than enough. Carry this truth into small choices. Speak kindly to yourself, pause before reacting, and share a quiet kindness today. If this resonated, leave a note below to say what you noticed. If this touched something inside you, you're not alone. Many people feel this quiet awakening. Share in the comments one moment when you sensed you were more than your human story. Your experience might mirror someone's secret questions. Save the video to revisit the visualization, and subscribe to walk this sacred, unfolding path, beloved.